Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.
We are live. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Which market update? The one you can trust on YouTube. This show is brought to you by tokenmetrics.com, the preeminent research house in crypto, where we tell it to you like it is. And recently, we've been telling people about NFTs. More on that later. If you're new to crypto, or you're new to this channel, or you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe, right? Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please drop a like. We are trying to break our record of 2,000 likes. We are going to get there. All right, let's see who's here on the stream. You know, we want to welcome Ali from London, first on the stream. Jojo, right? Indeed Nap here from Kentucky, right? We have Yasir from Poland. Welcome, right? We have Tina from the University of Texas. We have Denmark, right? India up late at night. We appreciate that. Someone's asking me, what's up, Bill? Is AVAX cheap? My answer would be hell no. Stay tuned for the details, right? Canada, welcome, right? Reverend Flashback, nice to see you too, right? Crypto Fish is here. UK, Nigeria, welcome, right? Yes, Oklahoma is here. I've got the red shirt on. Toronto, right? Maryland, Chicago, right? What a wonderful town. Okay. Alberta, Canada, Turkey, Kentucky. Nice to see everybody again, right? The Netherlands is here. And Samuel from Los Angeles tuning in early in their day. All right, people, here's what we're going to do. We got to go through like relevant news and get the take on the news. Some of it is interesting about NFTs. I'm just noticing a lack of capitulation in the news, right? I understand that we all want to stick up for crypto, but let's start off by going through it. I got a lot of it on my Twitter. And of course, we've got to talk about the next calamity in the system, which is Voyager. Okay. Now, all right. So over on my Twitter, let's start with GANN. It's pretty simple stuff. If there's a bear market rally, 1,300 is resistance in ETH. That would pretty much kill everybody. All right. In my opinion, the fact that ETH touched a bearish GANN point at 1160 and wasn't able to get back above it. In other words, it printed 1190, right, 2 days ago, but it hasn't been able to get back above that level. Okay, that to me seems bearish. Now on the chart, right, 1080 is a key level. That's right here, right? So if ETH closes below 1080, that's bad. Now we have crypto broker Voyager Digital lowers daily withdrawal limits from 25K to 10K. All right. In other words, there's massive contagion in the system. Okay. There's massive contagion in the system. How massive? Okay. This comes from a firm called Kaiko. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Okay. And let's read their synopsis about the ETH, right, potential depeg that Celsius is caught in. So everyone has like forgotten about Celsius and they see the news about Voyager and everyone just kind of ignores it, right? And I saw this in 2008. So let's see what these guys wrote on their huge synopsis about Celsius. Celsius could be engaging in an over-the-counter transaction through FTX, who I've always believed is trying to be the crypto Fed, right? To either use or swap their staked ETH and entering into a short ETH position on the futures market. That would allow them to profit if ETH fell over by closing out the contract at a lower price. Pausing withdrawals offers them the only chance they have of being solvent and profiting off this position at a later date. What does that mean? Okay, so people stake their ETH, they deposit it for yield, and then they got a receipt or an IOU for that ETH called staked ETH. And then people started borrowing money against the monopoly money, and we all got leveraged and everyone got in trouble. So Celsius has this staked ETH position, and staked ETH is slipping. So what are they going to do, right? Well, the first point says they're calling up FTX possibly and just completely unloading ETH to try to hedge in case the staked ETH, the monopoly money ETH, the relationship between that and regular ETH blows up. Okay, another theory could simply be that FTX or some other market maker is taking in the STETH from Celsius at a significant discount, right? In other words, all right, you need to get rid of your monopoly money. I'll take it at 64 cents on the dollar. All right, so somebody's taking the staked ETH in size in order to profit once staked ETH is redeemable for ETH on a one-to-one basis. They might have used short ETH on FTX to hedge price exposure, ensuring their profit comes solely from the difference in price between staked ETH and ETH. And their losses are limited due to their hedged ETH position. So, more selling of ETH and more people who think that the staked ETH, the monopoly ETH, the monopoly money ETH, and the ETH will eventually all trade at the same price. It could never blow up because I have a clever strategy and everything is okay, right? So the first point is they're trying to hedge, right? The second point is that Celsius took the risk on, right? And they're trying to hedge. You know, it's not an unrealistic strategy. So they conclude, all in all, what happens after FTX received this large influx of staked ETH and ETH is anyone's guess. Using our data, we can safely say that Celsius could not have sold all their staked ETH on centralized or decentralized exchanges. So that means either Celsius is wearing it or FTX is trying to play crypto Fed, and they took it down. As a result, likely had or will have to resort to an OTC transaction in order to remain solvent, which means they may have to unload on ETH, either Celsius or FTX. Even if Celsius does survive this onslaught, I don't see how anyone can trust the likes of Celsius to keep their assets safe going forward. In other words, there's a loss of confidence in the system now in centralized finance, the way there was a loss of confidence in the mortgage-backed security market in 2008 and what they called the investment trusts back in 1929. Perhaps in a few years' time, we will look back on this watershed moment for decentralized finance adoption, but that's probably just the optimist in me. So, what did that say? Well, Celsius is still in trouble. Whoever's helping Celsius could wind up in trouble. Okay? So when we go back over here, right, and we see, oh, yeah, you know, Voyager Digital lowers daily withdrawal limits. Do you think this is just related to Celsius? Or do you think there's more than one monster out there? Right? It's not just the predators, but, you know, it's the predators, it's aliens, it's everybody. Every scary monster you can think of, right? I also like Jaws, right? It's safe to go back in the water because don't worry. The FTX over-the-counter desk is taking care of everything. Somebody is wearing all this risk. It didn't go away. Okay, now, it's telling that crypto lenders that have malfunctioned are the big centralized ones, okay? Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager, while the transparent non-custodial lenders, right, Compound, Aave, and Maker are still working. And that's true. Decentralized finance is still operational. Now, what this thing is not noting is how much collateral is inside the DeFi protocols. So the DeFi protocols are going to be okay, but how much ETH have they got as collateral inside their protocols? So what happens if FTX and Celsius get liquidated? Do Aave, Compound, and Maker have to start liquidating ETH collateral inside their systems? All right, so to divert everyone's attention from this, we have, is a recession taking over from inflation as the current theme? And my comment is everyone wishes, right? First of all, everyone's praying for a recession. I think it's been so long since we've had a recession, people don't really get how bad that is. Second of all, other than lower income people that have to drive less, you know, I've sat in traffic jams in Austin and San Antonio, Texas, and it doesn't look like people aren't going anywhere. Okay, the unemployment rate is still low. And I think the reason everybody is all over this recession narrative is because they think that gets the Fed to back off, right? Which is why equities, AKA monkey market, just won't go down. What people don't realize is the only way to create a recession, the only way that the Fed's ever going to stop pressuring by raising the funds rate and draining the money out of the market is they've got to have stocks and real estate down. They don't just need it down, they need it down big. So the Fed used to want to manipulate the stock market higher. Now, the only way to stop 8% inflation is to crush equities. So everyone's like, oh, look, the recession is here. No more Fed tightening. No, wrong. The equity market is rallying in Jerome Powell's face, and he's not going to appreciate it. So when their negative earnings comes out or their earnings growth in stocks, again, earnings will be reported in July. When all that information starts to come out and then the market realizes, you know, the earnings are terrible and Powell's not going to stop tightening, really looking forward to what happens in equities on the downside. And again, folks, what happens to poor little crypto, right? We're insolvent within our own ecosystem and equities are smoking something. And that's going to come to an end when earnings come out in July. Okay. All right. So Willy Woo says, if we're expecting a normal Bitcoin macro bottom, we haven't seen this come to pass yet. So this is kind of a counter to this on-chain story that everyone's capitulating. The typical signs of a bottom are not in yet, right? There are no guarantees we'll get them because both BTC and macro markets are structurally very different than prior history. What does that mean? It means in 2018, you had whales, retail, and miners, okay? Whales dumped on retail, and then miners dumped on whales. That was the 2018 bear market, right? Now, in this situation, you've got insolvent DeFi players. You've got crypto bank failures. You've got over-the-counter trading desks that are either holding risk on behalf of insolvent people or are going to have to unleash hedges on behalf of those people. So you have like a real Wall Street system in crypto. Insolvent lenders, short sellers, hedge funds, over-the-counter dealers that may have to unleash. So just because whales grab a bunch of capitulation, just because miners unload their production from May, it doesn't mean that any of those parties that I've just mentioned are done selling. This, of course, goes along with what Willy Woo is talking about when he says macro markets. That means, you know, equities are not even close to capitulating. Yeah, there's bearish sentiment, but no one's pulling money out. Retail still owns stocks. So what is going to happen to crypto if everybody goes, you know, this stock market's a little ridiculous? What is going to happen, right? Your on-chain data isn't going to be worth boo if S&P goes down 40%. Okay, so this is a guy here on TikTok. I won't explain it to you, but you know, this guy basically is telling a story about how he's going to buy this $1.4 million mansion right? And as you can see, at some point, he says, I'm eventually going to put my money inside Luna, collect something like $7,000 a month, right? Pay off the loan on the house and sit around and collect $7,000 for doing nothing. There's his UST yield. This is still floating around, right? Luna and the mistakes made on Luna, right, aren't fresh enough in people's minds. Luna was not the end. Luna was the beginning. Okay. Some positive news. The Bank of England says crypto crash survivors could become tomorrow's Amazons and eBay. And I totally agree. It is way too early to give up on the whole crypto ecosystem. You don't give up on crypto, but what you do is you say, how can crypto be repriced, right? There are a lot of risk factors in crypto that are not priced into the system. 20K Bitcoin does not account for all the things that can and will go wrong here, particularly if they can and will go wrong all at once. And that move could be starting today or accelerate tomorrow. Now, some positive news. dYdX is moving from ETH, right, over to Cosmos, right? So that's good for scaling, but it may be bad for security, right? But it is nice because I do like dYdX and Perp, and I do like the fact that there are decentralized derivatives exchanges. So is this good news for dYdX? Yeah, I think it is, because I think scaling is really important. Now, let's talk about whether or not a positive Bitcoin article is in fact positive. The Wall Street Journal has an opinion that says, don't believe the obituary for Bitcoin. Okay. Now, this tells you that, there's somebody out there, Max Raskin, who is saying, people are reporting that Bitcoin is dead. Bitcoin is not dead. Bitcoin could just be mispriced. Okay. Right. So, again, usually what the Bitcoin crowd points to is speculation in altcoins. So, you have millions of dollars of speculation in NFTs, initial coin offerings, get rich quick schemes. It's easy to forget that Bitcoin wasn't created by people looking to get rich. Okay. In other words, Bitcoin was created as an alternative money, as an alternative to legacy. And that's completely true, right? And he's saying that what's going on currently in crypto is just merely a whole lot of volatility related to over speculating and men behaving badly. And that's true. Question is, what price do you want to pay for Bitcoin, right? And is this editorial too early, right? Is it too early to say Bitcoin is not dead, right? Like, what is this article going to look like? What's the opinion going to look like if Bitcoin goes to 7K and you have Lehman, AIG, 1929, and miners getting wiped out? So this guy's not wrong, but he could be too early. Okay. And Bitcoin Magazine points out that people will see the value in Bitcoin's proof of work. So this goes back to the argument that as everybody moves to proof of stake, proof of work is great for security. It's great because the computer science involved in creating a Bitcoin is so powerfully difficult. It adds to Bitcoin scarcity. That's true. The question is, do you want to do that trade now, or do you want to trade it when the world burns? Right? Like, pumping out positive Kool-Aid is great, but where are the buyers at 20? Like, we're at 20. A year ago, if you said, you'll be able to get Bitcoin at 20, people would be like, oh my God, I'm selling my house to get Bitcoin at 20. Okay, we're here. Where's the bounce? Where's the bid? Where is everybody? Right? I'm not hating on Bitcoin, but again, where is the bid? All right. Uniswap buys Ethereum NFT aggregator Genie. Now, believe it or not, we featured sneakerheads, and we have NFT analysts who are minting stuff for free. So literally, the NFT market may have gone to zero. It may have gone to zero, right? And what's interesting about that is, ironically, everyone's talking about buying Bitcoin, and I'm wondering if we should be buying like low cap NFTs that have cool art. Okay. Now, again, back to distress. Binance US makes Bitcoin trading free as competitors feel the heat. So investment banks a long time ago and retail brokerage houses went to no commissions. Exchanges figure out how to make money anyway. But again, everything is not okay if no one is interested in investing in Bitcoin. Yes, that could be a contrarian indicator. But again, where's the bounce? Where are the big players willing to step up and pay higher prices? Now, here's an interesting headline. It's probably going to be a huge cry fest. Plunging crypto markets cast a shadow over NFT.NYC and its jittery true believers. Okay, so, all right, of all the things I've read about capitulation, right, so it's kind of reversed. You have boo-hoo, very upset capitulation articles about NFTs, yet people are still writing about how they're in love with big cap cryptos. I actually think it's the reverse. I think you sell big cap cryptos and find a bunch of NFTs trading near zero. Speaking of NFTs, right, the National Hockey League is getting involved. Notice how everybody is launching into NFTs at the bottom. By the way, did I mention Token Metrics has a weekly NFT newsletter, and our premium group gets a briefing from our analysts about NFTs. That's where I got sneakerheads from. Okay. Now, again, look who's getting involved in NFTs. Binance on LinkedIn, right? We're kicking off an exclusive multi-year NFT partnership with a soccer legend. Okay. In other words, this makes sense to me, right? NFTs have gone to zero. No one believes in it. So NFTs may be better because art and stocks are not correlated. They're not correlated. Okay. So everyone's talking up Bitcoin and everyone's crying at NFT New York. So buy what everyone's crying about and sell what people still refuse to believe is problematic. Seems pretty clear to me, right? All right, let me see what we got going on here. We have Aiken saying, does BTC positions factor in potential expansion of war in Europe or the Middle East? Okay, this is an outstanding question. Now, I have not gone on and on about this, but I am personally convinced that the thing this market, risk assets, don't understand is that there's going to be a geopolitical event. I read a tweet yesterday from somebody who said, you know what? Normally I'm not into conspiracy theories, but there's evidence that Russian hackers created an explosion at a Texas natural gas facility, attempting to stop Europeans from buying U.S. natural gas. And, there are elections in Israel and, organic tensions are always present over there. So this idea that we know everything bad that can happen is not even true in crypto, because there's so much bad stuff out there. We can't even sort it all out, right? We've had to put news into the market update to try to keep it fresh in your mind that there's bad stuff out there. There's bad stuff in legacy. We don't even know what that is. Most likely it's a delusion about the reality of Fed tightening and earnings falling. And then there's the geopolitical angle, which again, I don't talk much about because people probably are thinking that, wow, this guy's pretty out there talking about 10 or 6K Bitcoin. How am I going to talk a geopolitical event? Well, there's going to be a catalyst, right? Like what makes all these dominoes start falling? So the person bringing this up is exactly right. Is exactly right. You should be looking where no one is looking. Okay. Now let's go. Let's go to your market update. Okay, am I sharing the right screen here? Okay, your market update. Okay, resetting the range. Now, that was the same title as yesterday. I'm keeping it for today. In other words, this market is either going to go up to 23K and trade up there, or it's going to reset the range lower and make everyone very uncomfortable by having ETH below 1,000 and Bitcoin below 20, and making everyone sit there and look at those numbers. Just a reminder, we have a token metrics clips channel. So for small clips, so a lot of people are aware that, I go by Notorious Bill on Twitter. And if all goes well, I may have found the equivalent of Little Kim to help me create more informative, educational, and potentially entertaining short clips. So if that all works out, you are going to want to be subscribed to that channel. As a reminder, if you're in the CEX.io community, I believe you will be getting coupons soon, right, for 40% discount off Token Metrics, right? And I also believe Token Metrics is running a free trial, right, for the next, say, 5 to 6 days. Now, let's do another news recap. Shopify unveils token-gated commerce, where merchants can purchase and will be able to roll out exclusive goods for NFT token holders. This goes back to the idea of phygital, the physical and the digital. You buy an NFT, and that allows you to get physical goods. Meta is set to begin testing NFTs on Instagram stories. Okay, so the art world, right, and metaverse e-commerce, or NFTs and e-commerce, the narrative is alive. Now, it probably indicates that you don't have enough revulsion in crypto, and they certainly don't want to buy high-priced NFTs, but low-cap NFTs may be an interesting play, right? I mean, support is at 0. So if you're buying stuff close to 0, how low can it go? Ontario regulators find Bybit and, Bars KuCoin in a continued fight against unregistered crypto exchanges. Excellent. More FUD from regulators, just what the ecosystem needs. Talk about kicking a guy when it's down. And Coinbase is phasing out Coinbase Pro as they want to replace it with something called Advanced Trade. So, of course, Coinbase wants to take away something that people like in favor of what? I don't know. I personally liked Coinbase Pro. Okay, let's talk about Ethereum. Let's just talk about, certain levels. Let's talk about the Williams oscillator. So at 1100, there's resistance in ETH, psychological, Fibonacci, GANN, all those areas around 1080, 1100. Now, when you look at the Williams oscillator in ETH, okay, there are indications that a down move is really about to start, right? I mean, I'm just sitting here looking at this going, when that Williams oscillator gets to 0, like right here, okay, I mean, this could result in ETH giving out from 1100 to 636. Now, you might say, well, gee, Bill, what could cause that? But at the start of the show, we went through this whole, I don't know, yeah, it was a little involved, but either Celsius is going to have to sell ETH or staked ETH or both, or some over-the-counter dealer is going to have to unload on ETH, right? So, yeah, there's been a lot of selling, and yeah, ETH is lower than it was 2 months ago, but is that over? And if it's not, where does ETH stop? Well, I think first stop's 600. Now, if we're looking at Bitcoin, okay, the DeMark Elliot Wave work shows that, the recent low was a 3 wave. Okay, I should have move this text a little closer. But the most important point is the rally to 22,000, okay, basically was wave 4. Now, what do you get when you get wave 3, wave 4? How many waves are there in an Elliott wave structure? 5. Okay. And normally the low on the wave 5 is obviously lower than the low on wave 3. In other words, Bitcoin has an Elliott wave structure that says it can go down to at least 16,500. So for all this talk that, oh, the capitulation is in Bitcoin and it's over. No, not according to this. This is a 4-hour chart. Okay, now if we look at Bitcoin on a weekly chart, you know, it's definitely a game requiring strong nerves. So there are major buy signals or bottom signals from DeMark on the Bitcoin weekly chart. There's a 13 and a 9 bottom. The question is, where's the bid, right? 21,800 is resistance. And everybody seems to be selling it there. So either Bitcoin's going to break out and rampage to the upside, which is possible. Okay. But what happens if that doesn't happen? What happens if the bounce from 17 and change to 21 and change? What if that was the rally? Everyone's like, yeah, it'll go up so I can sell. No, it never works that way. When everyone's like, yeah, I want it to go up so I can sell, it never goes up. So 21,800 is really important because if it can't get above 21,800, it means these bottoming signals are not working. And if the bottoming signals break in DeMark, that means it could continue to go lower. Now we have ETH on a 90-minute chart. We have resistance at 1150. We have a DeMark 9 top. You know, it's effectively paid to buy the DeMark 9 bottoms and sell the DeMark 9 tops. Given the precarious state of the market, given that big players may have to sell ETH and there's a problem with the centralized lender every day, I don't see the reason to not use rallies to get out or hedge. Okay. In other words, every rally, it feels like, turns into a failed rally. Okay. The 90-minute chart of ETH, we went over already. Now here's the daily chart of ETH using DeMark work. Okay. So the market goes down, makes a 9 bottom. Now, sometimes a 9 bottom is a bottom. Sometimes it's a pause, right? You get a counter trend rally, which, you know, we've had for 3 days. You know, ETH just kind of really irritating the shorts by, you know, bouncing, going down, bouncing, then rallying, then failing. It's annoying, right? But that's what happens when you get 9 bottoms. You get a 9 bottom, you get a counter trend pause that's sharp or tough, and then it starts to go through countdown. Countdown is 1 through 13. So based on this, currently on countdown, we're on a 4. That means 9 potential down days. Could it be 9 sideways days? Yes, it was in the past up here. Okay. It was here. But the thing is, right, with all this stuff that I've drawn, with the break of 1100, with the GANN work showing, you know, if it's below 1080, the next level's 450, right? So if you had 9 down days, right, and you went from 4 to 13, what does that look like exactly, right? Does that make me want to be constructive? Hell no, it doesn't, right? Because if things fall apart, if 21,800, so we're back to Bitcoin weekly, the support points are 16 and 10. And I know these levels are all over the place right now, but what's not all over the place is that if 21,800 acts as resistance, that this thing, the bottom could drop out. Okay, so if we go to the Bitcoin daily chart, right? So we had the reminder from the Bitcoin weekly that it's basically go up or shut up. And now we have the same signals on Bitcoin, except they're actually worse than ETH. Bitcoin made a 9 bottom, did a counter trend rally, right? Is chopping around, annoying everybody. then that countdown, that next leg could get started, right? And it's really only on a 3. So we could be talking about 10 down days in Bitcoin. So everyone's trying to tell me that everything is okay in Bitcoin. Yeah, everything's fine in Bitcoin in terms of proof of work currencies. Yes. But at what is the market clearing price if Celsius gets liquidated in ETH and Bitcoin, right? Saylor, Musk, multiple lending firms, and who knows what else, saying nothing about legacy. Are we saying we can't have 10 down days in Bitcoin? Come on. Come on. Okay. Now on Bitcoin, I think the key level, sort of the important pivot is 20,200. So if it's below 20,200, that's like the warning light. And if it's below 18,200, if it's like making a new low, then you obviously got to start, getting concerned. Now, what is on this Bitcoin 4-hour chart is really, really interesting. Back on June 6th, you had exactly the same type of Williams oscillator picture that you've got right now. It started to go down. It stopped. It had a final squeeze, and then it just gradually rolled over and caved. This, to me, feels like the exact same scenario, right? Where you're going to effectively reset the range at lower prices. You're going to reset the range in very uncomfortable territory. Okay, Solana. Now, if I'm making an argument that Bitcoin has more problems than anybody in the Bitcoin community wants to talk about, but Bitcoin does have sponsorship and does have whales that we're buying below 20. Let me ask you something. If all the sponsorship is in the market is in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin still has problems, what is going to happen in altcoins that have no sponsorship whatsoever and huge VCs that probably have to get out? So Solana has done well, right? It's got a 9 top. It's at resistance at 37.79, right? The DeMark Elliot Wave shows the recent high is the top of a wave 4 and that there's going to be a new low in Solana. Where is the sponsorship in big altcoins? I mean, if Bitcoin can't get off the mat and get above 20, right? If there are monstrous players out there waiting to unload on ETH, what happens to this? Avalanche, right? I haven't really picked on these coins as they've gone down, but, Avalanche corrected, right? Did a correction, A, B, C. If you look it up in a chart book, they call it a zigzag, right? So Avalanche does A, B, C, and then restarts the trend. Down, that's the 1, right? Back up, obviously, because, squeezing everybody is fun. Everybody kind of knows it's coming. But then it starts to go down. And after A, B, C, and 1, 2, after getting, stopped and chopped, no one wants to be short. And that's when it just gives out. And you get this huge 3-wave down, most likely giving you a new low. Okay. So given that the Elliott wave picture is not that pretty, Avalanche never got to its quant support point. This actually comes from tokenmetrics.com. Right? 1435 is support in Avalanche. And the only level below that is 952. And there isn't anything below 952. So, okay, yeah, I don't want to be an alarmist, but what would happen if Avalanche got rolling to the downside? Like I said, if ETH is at 600 or Bitcoin is at 16, where's this? Right? This is a vanishing act. And the thing that's funny is I don't think anyone wants to be shorted because it's down a lot. Okay, that I get, right? It's a little late, but if all the sponsorship is in Bitcoin and Bitcoin's still in trouble, again, what happens here? Okay, long bonds still have a bid, right? When people buy bonds, it's because they're afraid of something. Solana, speaking of being afraid, okay, so this is a little bit more balanced. So Solana had support at 35 and it held. and it bounced a lot, right? It bounced almost up to 40, right? Support was at 29. It held that almost to the number. Okay. So Solana held. Everyone was picking on Solana. Solana underperformed on the way down, so Solana was well supported. So if you like Solana, I'm not going to give you a hard time about that. But if Solana comes down and makes a new low and takes out some of these support points, what is there below Solana if Solana is below 30? There's nobody home until 18. So if you had to get out of Solana, if you were worried about it and you're like, okay, should I sell at 40 and hope it goes to 50? Or if it's at 40, maybe I should exit, because if it turns, it could disappear, right? All it has to do is take out levels that it was at recently and it's gone. So, you know, the risk is on the upside, it could go up to 50, right? But the downside risk is it could lose half of its value and go to 18. VIX, fear inequities, a teacup and handle formation. What does that mean? That means fear in the stock market has nowhere to go but up, in my opinion, based on this chart. Is it chopping around? Are stocks annoying? Yes. Okay. What's going to happen when people wake up? Geopolitical event, earnings, Fed, inflation, and what happens to crypto if VIX goes from 30 to 70? Okay. Stock market Elliot Wave, SPY. Okay. Resistance at a moving average system developed by DeMark and GANN tools around 376. Stocks have gone 1, 2, did a little 3, did a 4 wave, it stopped. And sometimes when you do that short 3, you can have a big 5. So in other words, you know, stocks can conclude its recent down move in the same way it started it. So down violent, whatever, down violently. So this wave count fits with the VIX chart. Now, just to drive the point home about how you find downside targets in the coins that you care about, Token Metrics has AI-based trading signals and the history of those signals. Like you can see when it went bearish, that was over here around 48K. But you can also see, it's not marked, but the late 2020 buy signal was 11. Okay, the early 2020 buy signal was 7. So I guess we're saying Bitcoin can't go down to where it started from because Solana and Avalanche, Zcash, a lot of those coins have already done moves like this. Now, Solana started at like 30 cents. So, you know, like I said, if it can happen to other coins, it can happen to Bitcoin, Bitcoin. I'm still interested in Pax Gold. Okay, now let's go to total altcoin market cap to try to get some proof of what I'm talking about in some of these bigger altcoins. The Williams oscillator has, you know, popped itself above 0. And we're just kind of all sitting around waiting. $368 billion in total 3. That's altcoin market cap. That means market cap minus Bitcoin and Ethereum, or just the, you know, the altcoins of the world. What is going to happen if this fails at 368 and these Williams oscillator signals create another down move? Like this thing has been consolidating now for like 10 days, right? What happens if things just give out, right? I don't think anybody's going to go home into July 4th. I mean, are people really going to go into the July 4th weekend? All these over-the-counter dealers and all these guys, they're going to do what they have to do before the holiday because there isn't going to be any liquidity once the American 4th of July holiday comes around. So they're going to have to do what they have to do early. And if they don't, speculators are going to push them in thin market conditions. There's blood in the water, and the sharks, as in the hedge funds, know it. The ones that are solvent are going to push this thing on the short side knowing that there's forced sellers out there. Okay. Somebody is saying, I heard Shade Protocol is a safe bet next cycle. Okay. Well, we'll take a look at Shade Protocol in a minute, right? Total 2, there's resistance at 510 billion. Again, negative Williams oscillator signals. Tesla. Okay. Tesla. 703 is a key level. A stock split is coming. Earnings are eventually coming in July. I don't like the Williams oscillator here, and I continue to believe that Tesla is the key to all risk assets, both stocks and crypto. If Tesla breaks, stocks break. If stocks break, crypto definitely breaks. And that is the market update. Okay, let's go to let's take a moment to go back and see where the market is trading. Almost like the market update within the market update. Okay, so ETH is back up again. That's good, right? So there's that key point at 1100, right? So this continued, it rallies, it goes up, it goes down, it comes back. This chop may continue for, I don't know, days, right? This is the hard part. Where is the range reset? Now let's see if I can come up with Shade Protocol. Okay, I can't get Shade here. See if I can get it somewhere else because somebody did super chat in on this. Okay, let's try sharing the screen here, see what we get. Okay, Shade did not come up. Let's try it one more time. Okay, no dice there on Shade. I'll have to come back to that in another stream. Okay. So we have ETH coming back. We have Bitcoin doing okay, right? And we have stocks. Okay. So this is S&P 500. Okay. This is the 4-hour chart. And the big question is, right, when you get these formations in Williams, right, you can draw it right here on the screen, right? When you start to see this thing pop above 0, you're kind of on a countdown to a mess. I think going into July 4th, the risk in equities is just as big as the risk in crypto. The only question is at what price, right, can you get out at? You can bet that obviously I'm no longer the only one thinking this. This is the other thing you have to take into account, right? So the Bitcoin people think Bitcoin is okay, but there's obviously a lot of people that because of greed or because these problems are known are trying to get short, right? And that's what's creating all this frustration. All right. So let's see what's in the chat. Okay. 2018 also had the Fed doing the same thing that they're doing now. Yes, I will spare you the gory bond market mathematics, but back then the Fed had actual interest rates above the interest rates that the bond market required as compensation for inflation. Those are called break-evens. So the Fed and the bond market are trying to jam on the brakes, right? That killed crypto, right? But it's not killing equities. It's not. I mean, some parts of equities have been destroyed, but others have not. Okay. Okay. So somebody is asking if anybody has problems with Voyager, right? Okay. Alex Jones was talking about a major crypto collapse. Okay. That's good for him, right? Okay, so Michael Hernandez says sharks are definitely out there throwing chum in the water. Okay. So we have Cardano, someone asking about Cardano. Let's check that out. Got to be honest, it's really hard to get negative. It's hard to be negative on some of this stuff given how much it's gone down. So Cardano isn't doing anything bad on its daily chart. If anything, you can tell people are trying to buy it below 40 cents. So people want to buy Cardano when it's going down. The question is, why is nobody paying higher prices? So yes, people are buying it down here, but they're also selling it at 47 cents. So Cardano is like stuck. Could this be a head and shoulders bottom? It could be. It could be. If there's an upside catalyst in crypto, if there's an everything is all right event, stuff could go up. But what is there going to be to change the fact that there are insolvent players and over-the-counter dealers with their finger on the trigger ready to unload on this market? Okay. All right. So somebody wants to know, somebody's addressing token metrics and says, where are the 100x and 1000x coins? Okay, well, we're working on that. I have an idea for the next 100 or 1000x. I got it at consensus. I'm not going to talk about it right now because I know everyone's going to go run in and buy it. And I don't want people doing that if the market can go a lot lower. But I personally have something that I'm looking at, and I know our guys are hard at work finding what is next for the next bull run. This thing that I found that Edward Snowden talked about, I'm decorating my whole wall. Okay, that assumes I don't put every dollar that I have into this particular coin looking for 100 or 1000x over time. Okay, so yeah, we are working on that. We are working on that. Okay. Thoth says both VIX and QQQ, right, are important to Bitcoin. And Mano says, basically I'm waiting to sell BTC at 27, which is not the worst idea in the world. I mean, honestly, right? There are a lot of people who are saying 25, 26. One guy saying 30 on a rally. That's why I talked about range reset, right? What's the range in Bitcoin? Is it 22 to 25 or is it 16 to 18? We don't know yet. We don't know yet, but there's too much positive talk about Bitcoin and there's too much what I call clandestine news flow about Celsius, right? In other words, this thing by Kaiko, right? I mean, look at the size of this thing. Look at the size of this article. Celsius reaches boiling point. Okay? So this entire report, like it tells you what is staked ETH, right? What's the staked ETH curve pool, right? Implications of a staked ETH discount or DPEG, right? In other words, to understand what's going on in this market underneath the hood, I mean, look at this content, right? Look at this content. Lido says staked ETH issued by Lido is backed 1-to-1 with ETH staking deposits. In other words, everything is okay. This tweet was June 10th. Don't worry, everything's fine. The exchange rate between staked ETH and ETH does not reflect the underlying backing of your staked ETH, but rather a fluctuating secondary market price. In other words, Mr. Market doesn't care what you think the relationship is between ETH and monopoly money ETH. It only cares about what the market says. And if the market has to unload on either ETH, staked ETH, or both, what happens? Okay? So, there's a scenario where somebody has to sell the staked ETH to pay off redemptions. So I'm not trying to pile on, But I mean, if you really want to understand what's going on here, okay, just like in 2008, okay, there's a lot involved. I mean, today for 2008, you go on Google Play and you rent The Big Short, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, wow, that was a cool movie. That was pretty obvious what was happening back then. No, it wasn't. It's obvious what was happening now, right? Like, people made loans to people who couldn't pay them back. They turned those loans into securities. They put the securities on bank balance sheets. So once some dude couldn't pay on his four-wheeler, you know, you had enough of those and you had a cascade. Sure, it's a movie now. It's obvious. But it wasn't obvious when I was in it because I was in it. And it's not obvious now in crypto. So, okay, so today's a crypto update. Great. Right? Remember what we were saying earlier. Green days are days to adjust risk. All right? So please hit the like button. Somebody's asking for Dogecoin support points. So let's check out. Let's see if we can get Dogecoin support points. Okay, Matic having a strong week, by the way. Okay. All right. So Doge is sitting on support right around 0.061. So there is a lot of support in Doge here, and there's support below that at 0.049. So this is what you have to ask yourself in Doge. This is a 9 bottom, right? Is this your counter trend rally? Is this like, you know, you recover and then you bounce? Remember how you go 1 through 9, counter trend bounce, and then resume? I'll tell you right now, if you're in Dogecoin, you better hope that this holds. Because if this doesn't hold, Musk is going to court. Because I don't know where the Musk Saturday Night Live pump was. I want to say it was right here on the 13 and the 9 signal. And then boom. So, you know, I think the risk in Dogecoin has to do with Tesla risk, with Musk risk, right? All right. Your thoughts on Secret Network, because they have rebranded and got clarification by the SEC as to what's good and what's not. Okay. So I don't know that the SEC has given anyone clarification on anything. They changed their mind back and forth. I actually saw BitBoy talking about this, just rampaging on the SEC. Okay. So, you know, there's a lot of bizarre stuff going out there. Now, here's another question. Bill, do you think another layer 1 will overtake ETH in the next cycle? All right. So a couple things. There's a lot of people talking about the next cycle, right? I don't mind talking about that, but I do remember when the market was doing nothing but going up, people were saying, oh my God, I can't wait for the bear market so I can buy. When is the bear market coming? I can't wait for the bear market. And I was like, dude, you do not want to root. You do not want the bear market to come, because when the bear market comes, everyone gets destroyed. Now, when it comes to the next cycle, okay, can something overtake ETH? Yes. Yes. Right? I don't know if Vitalik wants ETH to be the home of FOMO, right? Where, you know, we have DeFi gambling and, you know, insane NFT prices. I think he wants, you know, I think he wants ETH to serve a societal purpose, right? He did a paper that I read at Consensus. You know, I believe it was called Decentralized Soul, as in your human, you know, spiritual soul. And I'm like, wow, if this is what the true price of Ethereum is, I'm not sure Ethereum is this speculative, frothy risk asset that everybody thinks it is. Now, I'm not ragging on ETH, but it does open up room for somebody to come in and say, all right, can someone challenge ETH? I mean, right now, ETH, if you look at a monthly chart, I talked about this 13 bottom, this 13 top all through April and May. I don't talk about the fact that the whole rally started from 128. Okay. So I actually argue it's a deeper question. I think I'm actually going to be interviewing Near Protocol soon. And I can tell you what my question is going to be. What exactly do we need layer ones for? Like if DeFi is, going to go through a winter, right? If crypto is crashing, but DeFi goes through a winter and NFTs are like, I don't know, going to be used in the normie world, why does everyone think that the layer one bubble has to repeat itself in the next cycle? The whole definition of the next cycle is that everything from prior cycles largely does not work. So yeah, is ETH going to survive? Yeah, of course it is. But if the only way I see ETH going back to like 5,000 or 10,000, like people talk about, is if you have a crash in the dollar. And ETH is like a form of money that people are going to want instead of the dollar. The next cycle will be about new forms of money. It'll be about the future of money. Now, I'm going to fully admit, some guy was giving me a hard time yesterday. And, I admit, I thought the future of money was going to be like Litecoin and Dash and stuff like that. Now, that did not materialize. The bubble and the monster run-up was in the layer ones, was in altcoins. Next round, I think it's art and money. It's art and money. Where literally like the entire crypto speculative world may wind up getting funneled into a handful of coins that can actually act as money. Or as Snowden said, stop using crypto to invest in and start using it. And I think what's going on in NFTs is literally the beginning of people using digital assets to enhance experiences in the physical world. Okay. So someone's asking about Monero. That's always a good question. Never mind looking at Monero. So Village Cooking is saying will take time. Yes, right. So even though this is a crash, right, and I believe it's a crash and this is going to kind of all happen at once.
Bill, you're not sharing.
Right. The next narratives, the next upcycle could get started, but, may take a little bit of time to accelerate. So this is Monero on a 90-minute chart. I mean, this looks okay, but you've got resistance at 122, right? If you look at a daily chart of Monero, okay, obviously this has gotten destroyed. It went straight down and people kind of gave up on it, right? So when you have these kind of give up trades, now, just as a hint, prefer Zcash for a lot of reasons. Okay. This is Zcash versus Bitcoin, and it's actually holding its own. It's outperforming Bitcoin. Okay, now here's Zcash again. All right. So, it looks like what's going to happen in Zcash is that you've got a 9 bottom, right? But that didn't produce anything except that uptick, right? And then you've got the possibility of resistance at 75 and support at 25. Okay. So this narrative about privacy is going to be critical, because privacy isn't going to be about hiding anything from the government. It's going to be about doing transactions in the metaverse. Do you want to do a transaction in crypto and have somebody be able to figure out how much you've got in your wallet? No. So you're going to need privacy solutions. And one of the reasons Snowden says Bitcoin, he didn't say it directly, but he said Bitcoin has no privacy layer, and there's no plans to add one. And I remember Snowden was like not happy about it. He like looked out at the crowd on this giant screen and said, 10 years after I started using it, and he's talking to Bitcoin developers, he's like, where's the privacy layer? And I walked out of that, as I've said, I was like, oh my God, holy shit. You know, this is just, I mean, I'm looking at my phone and the whole thing just started dumping after that, right? There's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. It has to be repriced. There's nothing wrong with crypto. It has to be repriced, okay? Somebody said, I can't short something that isn't going to zero. That short squeeze, if the short squeeze come, it's going to be awful. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Like the fear of the short squeeze is ever present in the market. People are afraid of what happens if they wake up and this thing is off to the races. Like Tom DeMark says 30, one YouTube said 40. One YouTuber said 30, right? I've heard GAN people talking about 26. So XNO has probably got resistance around 87 cents. You know, this looks like they're trying to buy it. The old low was 86 back in May. So they got to take out 86 to get it going. On a daily chart, this looks okay. Let's see what a 4-hour. Okay, Bear Norris said Snowden is a traitor, right? So from a national security perspective, you know, I'm not arguing that. Okay, he did blow the whistle and, you know, reveal some classified information, but he did win best presentation at Consensus, right? And I was there. Thank God I got over there for that, because, man, that woke me up. That woke me up about this market. Okay, so XNO does have room to go up, okay? Somebody is saying CoinFlex is pausing withdrawals effective immediately, okay? Tybor says, I already used the privacy feature on Litecoin. Yes, so Litecoin does have a privacy feature. Right now, I cannot be a Litecoin maximalist anymore because I got smoked by this down market, right? But Litecoin does have a privacy feature. I don't know that when we researched it, whether or not the proof of work feature of Litecoin leaves it vulnerable to a 51% attack. I don't know. That's not my game. But I do know that Litecoin does have a privacy feature, okay? And that is interesting, right? Litecoin did just completely wash itself out to 40, and you can make an argument for Litecoin to go back to 64. You can. So, you know, as we're sort of signing off here, right? You know, we've got ETH sitting at that level at 1100, right? We're just sitting here. Like 1080 is, you know, it goes down and we just sit here. We're just figuring out what the range reset is. And, you know, everybody, it's like, oh, it's a short covering rally. Let's go. Or everyone's like, oh my God, it's my big chance to get short. And it goes nowhere. And this may go on. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of hoping, I kind of think this thing could go down tomorrow. But if it doesn't, we could be looking at 10 days of this just sitting here, because that has happened before, right? I mean, yeah, ETH fell out of bed, but what a lot of people don't realize is between June 6th and June 10th, there's 4 days of nothing, right? And if you look at this over here, right, June 19th was when the nothing started, and now we're at, like, you know, the 23rd. So, you know, this to me looks exactly the same, right? And the Williams oscillator looks exactly the same. So, can we have more nothing? Yes. Could you wake up tomorrow and have these over-the-counter desks be like, we got to sell? And can you imagine all these huge players watching this little illiquid crypto market sitting here doing nothing, wondering if it's going to go up so they can sell? All right. So let's sum up, right? Let's sum up what we've talked about today. There's stuff out there that people are not fully understanding. It's hard to understand staked ETH relationship. Celsius, FTX over-the-counter desks, legacy, macro issues, interest rates, earnings for stocks. Okay? These things are tough to understand. Here's what's not tough to understand. Okay? Is if you got to make a move in your portfolio, if you got to make an adjustment, okay, maybe you make the adjustment. Maybe you make half of it now and see if it goes up, and you can make the other half of the adjustment soon, okay? Because approaching in the near future, right, there's the illiquid July 4th holidays. Holidays always bring huge volatility. They also bring lack of liquidity. So whatever you're going to do to adjust your portfolio, if you think it's too late to adjust it, please think again, okay? My job and the job of all the researchers and software developers at Token Metrics is to keep you out of the way when it's going down and get you back in at the bottom and into the next theme. And you can't do all that if you're completely wrecked, all right? And I'm trying to say that with a smile on my face, because I don't want you to get wrecked. So, wishing everybody well, spin, low to high, right? Bear Norris, Tina over at the University of Texas. All right. That's it for today. All right. I'm Bill Noble. We will be here tomorrow.